Welcome to Channel 17, the Town of Colonie Government Channel.
Hello, I'm Mary Brazell, Supervisor of the Town of Colonie. Today's program is about the town's municipal golf course located at 418 Consall Road in the western end of town. The course opened in 1969 and since then has seen 2 expansions to its current 36-hole layout. Today's program will feature Town Board Member Frank Mauriello, Course Manager Craig Blair, Course Superintendent John Risler, and Course PGA Pro Noel Gebauer. I hope you will enjoy today's program.
Gentlemen, thank you for coming this afternoon. And what I'd like to do is start with Craig Blair, our golf course manager. Craig, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, Frank, I was born in the town of Colonie. Been here all my life. I went to Shaker High School, and from there I went to Dean College in Massachusetts, got a degree in accounting, and then went to Siena College, got a degree in business administration, went to work for the state in a couple of agencies for 22 years, and then came to the town in various positions, worked in the controller's office in the financial end of it for a while, and then was appointed to golf course manager recently.
Right. Let me ask you a few questions about the golf course. How does a golfer make a tee time at our golf course?
Right now there's several ways, Frank. You can call up on the phone at 374-4181, and we start taking tee times at 6:30 every morning. Or you can actually go to the golf course, and again, you can come in and make your tee time in person. Maybe in the future we might try other avenues, but right now that's the way it is. And some of the courses around are looking into online and so on, and we are also.
Okay. Can a golfer get out to play without it making a tee time?
Yes, that's a very good question. A lot of times people come out on a day like today, for example. They're sitting in the office and they happen to get a few hours and want to go out and play golf. They don't have a tee time, or there's only 1 or 2 of them. They can come up and they go to the red shed and they register with a starter at the red shed, and he'll see what's available, and then he'll send them into the pro shop, and they come in and they pay their greens fees, and we know based on what the starter said what 9 or 18 that they're going out on, and then they go down and get fit into the schedule.
Okay. On nice, beautiful, sunny days when the course is crowded, what do we do to help the pace of play on the course? How do we keep it moving?
Well, what we usually do is we have a ranger that goes out and rangers all 36 holes. He's driving out and keeps an eye on the foursomes, the threesomes, whatever's out there. The starters also know at what time you went out, and then when you come around to make what we call a turn to start your second 9, they basically know who you are, and they see around what time you started. And the pace of play is usually about 2 hours, and I say 15 minutes, but it's basically 2 hours and 16 minutes. And if you're within that window of time, that's fine. We try to keep the pace of play going so that it's tough on a municipal course. You have good golfers and you have some beginners, and it's tough to kind of, we don't ask them when they call, are you a new golfer or an expert or whatever. So we try to meld them in, and the starters do a very good job of keeping the pace of play going along with the rangers.
Okay, good. No, thank you, thank you. What I'd like to do is turn to John Risler. John is our certified golf course superintendent. And as we talk about play on the golf, we talk about the condition of the course itself. And when inclement weather hits, how do you determine if the course is playable or whether or not it needs to be closed?
Well, there's probably 2 factors that I look at. The first is how the weather is going to impact the health of the turf, the recoverability of the golf course, if there's golfers out there, carts, and how they'll affect the golf course itself and the playability. And the second one that I'll look at, and I will get a hold of Craig and Noel, is if the number of rounds that are out there at that time is really worth keeping the golf course open, to keep, to save some money staffing wise. If there's not a lot of people out there playing and it doesn't look like it's going to get better, then that's another factor that weather will have as far as keeping the golf course open.
Okay, okay. What long-term weather conditions do you fear the most for doing damage to the healthy turf?
Well, after this winter with the 70 degrees January 1st, and then sub-zero the next week, no snow cover, and fixing irrigation breaks for the last 3 weeks, I would say a condition like that. But as far as the long-term health of the turf, I would say that above normal summer temperatures, very high humidities, there's a lot of turf pathogens out there, a lot of fungal diseases that can be very expensive to treat and also very catastrophic if we're unable to take care of them. So I would say if those kind of patterns were to progress, there's some cultural things that we can do, but certainly we would have to rely a little bit more on a fungicide program.
What type of chemicals do you apply to keep the turf healthy?
Well, we do a lot of things with slow-release fertilizer, so they're getting the right amount of nitrogen over a longer period of time, so that there's not a real flush of growth, keep the plant healthy. We do mostly curative fungicide treatments, very few preventative things, just for the fact that the costs may be a little prohibitive, and it's also maybe a little bit more of a sound environmental way to approach things. And we control where we have heavier weed populations, and same as insects. We'll spot treat for flare-ups or where we have grub problems and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now you talked about the damage that was caused during the winter. Early spring, late fall, we have frost delays. What damage can be done if you do not have frost delays?
Well, when there's frost on the turf grass plant and you have either a golfer walk or a mower drive over it, it'll actually burst the cell wall of the plant, and it'll cause the death of that plant. If there's very light frost, the damage could be maybe a couple days. But if there's a heavy frost and there's play out there, you could kill that grass plant, and you're looking at maybe about 3 to 4 weeks for it to recover. So, which is why we have the delays. They're not anything that we enjoy on the maintenance staff, because we know the golfers want to get out there and play, and as soon as they can, we let the golf course manager and the pro know. But we need a little bit of a window to get out there so that we can maintain, because while there's a frost delay, our mowers aren't going out either. So, but it's a necessary evil in the Northeast.
And you do have to mow every day? What type of rotation do you have with mowing?
In the summer, which I would say we get into the summer mowing probably about the first week in May. We're mowing greens every day. We mow the fairways and the tees and the approaches on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday rotation. And rough, we're mowing Monday through Friday continually. And as temperatures cool off and the grass isn't growing, and we can keep playability what the golfers will expect, we can scale back a little bit on the daily cuttings.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to turn to Noel Gebauer, our golf pro, and I'd like to welcome Noel to the Town of Colonie Golf Course. This is your first year.
Yes.
And I know you give lessons, but I'm curious, how does one get started in the game of golf if they've never played before?
That's a great question. It's a subject that's dear to my heart, because as a PGA professional and as somebody that loves the game, one of the most important things that I can do is try to grow the game and to get more people into the sport. I spend a lot of my time during the day teaching players of all levels, but getting started from a person that hasn't played before, what they would want to do is call us in the golf shop. We have programs, both individual programs where they can come out and take lessons from myself, from Matt Bogdanowicz, who's my assistant professional at the golf course. We can get them started that way. There are group sessions that they can have where they can come out as groups of beginners, because sometimes people feel a little more comfortable if they're in a group setting, and we can start them that way to get them not just the skills to play golf, but I think one of the most important things for a beginner that's never played before is to know the routine. I think that's where people will feel uncomfortable. They see people getting to the golf course doing things that they're not familiar with, so we need to explain to them what that routine is, whether it's getting a tee time, whether it's how to pay when they get there, how to join up with people that play, how to meet people that play at a similar level. And if we can get them educated on the routine as well as help their skills, I think we can really get them to not just get started in the game, but to keep playing for a long time.
Okay, that's good. Can players get an official handicap at the Town of Colonie Golf
Yes.
Course?
Yes, in our golf shop we are connected with the USGA GIN system. That's facilitated by the New York State Golf Association. And you come in and you pay a fee through the golf shop that gets sent to the USGA GIN system, which allows you to be part of a national database. You can post your scores either in the golf shop, which means you just report what you shot. You can do that in the golf shop, or you can do it online because you have a GIN number that allows you to log on to gin.com and post them online. And people can see that all around the country. So if you're playing in a tournament in California and they want to know your handicap, in the old days they would have to call me up in the golf shop and say, you know, does so-and-so play at your golf course? Do you know what their handicap is? Now they can just log on and look you up. And it's a great thing. It's very inexpensive, and it makes you official.
Okay. Does the town golf course hold any open tournaments? And if so, what type of players can play, and how do they get involved?
We do. We have, in June we hold a scramble tournament, which is open to all of our regular players and even players who aren't regular that would like to come out and have fun. We have a town championship in August. We have the McGladrey team tournament, which is a best ball tournament, which is tied in with the PGA of America, very similar to the Oldsmobile Scramble and the way that used to be. And then we have a tournament named after Saul Greenhouse. It's a best ball event in September. And to sign up for those, you just call the golf shop. We'll give you all the details about the event. We have divisions in each of those tournaments, so it'll be fun for everybody no matter what their skill level, from the scratch player to the high handicapper. They're more than welcome to play. So you come out, you play the tournament, there's prizes, there's food. It's a really good time, so we'd love to have everybody come out and try it.
Okay, great. Now this year we started league play,
Mhm.
and if someone is interested in playing in a league, how do they go about doing so?
A good question. What you want to do first is call the golf shop, and what we have is the information on all of the leagues and what types of leagues that may interest that player. We have different kinds of leagues, some that are competitive, some that are completely casual, and we want to try to match up the league with the type of player that that's calling, that's interested in getting into a league. And also, that varies depending on the night that they have available to play as well. Most leagues are full, but they're looking for subs. When you get into a league, you generally start as a substitute and then work your way into being a regular member. And we can facilitate that because all the leagues that need substitutes have come into the golf shop and told us that they need them. So we know what nights have openings, what types of leagues they are, and we certainly like to match up players that are looking to play in leagues to the league that would best fit them.
Okay, thank you. Craig, I have another question for you. Why do golfers, right now we've changed our system on how golfers actually pay,
Mhm.
and why do golfers not pay at the ticket booths any longer? Why do they come into the pro shop?
Well, we're trying to become consumer friendly. That's one of the goals for the golf course, has been for a long time, and we're trying to modify things as we go along. You used to go out, come up, pay for your greens fees, and out at the shed, so to speak, is what they used to call it. It was a cashier's booth out front, and then you would go inside and pick up your cart. You also, at one point in time, you paid for your cart inside also. Then when the town went to credit cards, you paid for the cart and the greens fees outside at the shed, and then you went back inside and picked up your cart inside. Had a line out front, line inside. This way here, we tried to streamline things, make it one-stop shopping. You go in, you're in the pro shop in a nice environment on a hot August day. You're in air conditioning. If it's sprinkling out or whatever, you're not outside in the elements. Also, when the town started to go with credit cards, it facilitated a much easier system where you can go in, you can get your greens fees, your cart, and if you happen to see you need a glove or a shirt from the pro shop or whatever, you can purchase it all, put it on your credit card, one stop, you're in and you're out. And we found that was probably one of the better moves that has been facilitated at the town course recently.
Okay. Does our course hold events for outside groups, and how would someone go about setting one up?
Yes, we do. We try to do as many as we can. Of course, we consult with John to see what his maintenance schedule is on the course so that we don't overload it and have some, when he wants to work on a certain 9, happen to have an event going on. But basically, if your organization or a group is interested in having a mini tournament or a regular large tournament, we have tournaments that run anywhere from 20 to all the way up to 240 people. We started doing shotguns on certain days. What you do is you call the pro shop and either ask for myself or Noel, and in most cases we're there. We can answer your questions right then and there, set up the situation, you know, how many golfers you have, what type of organization it is. We'll give you an idea of what the cost will be, and we can also facilitate at the town golf course. We can set you up with the restaurant portion of it also. We have Chip Shots on.
Yes, Chip Shots is online. Chip Shots is our concessionaire, and do you help people coordinate these tournaments with Chip Shots, or do they talk to Chip Shots?
We can do it both ways. We can sit down with their representative, and we'll have a meeting with them, and all the parties involved will sit down at the table and go through what they want, whether they want a meal at the turn, whether they want a buffet, hot dogs and hamburgers, whatever, and we try to coordinate it. Or in some instances they'll say, well, we want to do that separately. That's fine. And what we've also done, again getting back to the question about the outside and the inside payment, we facilitate it now that if you do with the whole, we'll call it the whole ball of wax, where you set up the tournament with us and also the meal with Chip Shots, you can pay with the credit card at the golf course in the pro shop, and then the town will separate that for you, so you don't have to do 2 separate checks or 3 separate checks or 2 separate credit cards or whatever. So we work very closely with Chip Shots, and they, you know.
Now with Chip Shots, do you have your option of having your event indoors as well as outdoors? Can they rent a tent for you?
Yes, they on several occasions they've rented tents, just in case the weather's bad, and also for shade on sunny days. But they can facilitate some inside if the weather turns inclement. Of course, you're limited to the size. But once we get over the certain size that they can have, they'll go out and they'll rent a tent, and we can have this facility outside. There's an area there that it fits right in with the flow. When you come done playing your 18 holes, it flows right very nicely into the tent facility. They'll have a cookout for you, or you can have inside food, delivered out to you. They do an excellent job.
And if you're just a casual golfer and you're just going out for a day of golf, you could stop there anytime for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner. Is it pretty much a full-service restaurant?
Yep, they open basically at 6 o'clock in the morning, and they serve some of the people that come in to make tea times on certain days, and they're open till probably, I would say, 1 o'clock. They have live entertainment on certain nights. They're open year-round. And again, they have live entertainment in the wintertime, and they have sandwiches, delicious sandwiches for lunch, dinner, whatever food fare you want. They have sandwiches to soup to full dinners.
Okay, all right, thank you. No, I'd like to just go back to you for a quick second. What is the difference between the PGA of America club professionals at the course and the PGA Tour professionals we see on TV?
Well, the PGA club professional, that's members of the PGA of America like myself, we are trained to run golf courses, the golf operations at the golf courses. We go through schooling to do that. When I got out of the University of Albany, I became an apprentice. Actually, my first job as an apprentice was at the town of Colonie golf course. And you go through that apprenticeship, you go through schooling on things like golf cart fleet management, to teaching golf and doing a whole bunch of different things that are golf business oriented. There's also a playing component to that, so we do have to be an accomplished player, at least at some point in our career. And that is the training. There's also a continuing education portion of that too. We have to keep going back and being educated on a lot of the golf business aspects that a golf course needs. So that's the PGA of America member, and the PGA Tour player. They're the best players in the world. At one time back in the 40s and 50s, the club professionals, they were the touring professionals as well. They took time off from their jobs and they went and played the tour events. Well, that doesn't happen anymore. The players that are the players, they play full time, and we see them making millions of dollars on television. And those of us that are club professionals devote our entire lives to running golf courses.
Okay. And just to ask you a question about our course, do the 4-9s favor any particular type or level of golfer?
They're different, which is great. That's a great question, because you can really get almost three different styles of golf course design in one facility at our golf course. The original 18, our white and blue 9s, I think favor someone, if you're played from the proper tees, you need to be a great driver of the ball, because the fairway sand traps are positioned in places that make it, you really have to be accurate to score well. Our third 9 that went in, our red 9, that really favors somebody who's an accurate iron player. The greens are angled at different non-traditional angles, and they're somewhat smaller. You have to be very accurate with your irons to play well there. And our fourth 9, the green 9, has a great variety of types of holes, a lot of great par 3s. It's very scenic. I think that the way we set up the golf course will allow every ability of player to play all 4 9s well, but definitely, depending on the type of player, what you do well when you play, you'll definitely score better on one 9 or another.
That's interesting. And then when you talk about the different 9s and you talk about the course, and John, for you, what factors determine how short the grass on the fairways and greens can be cut?
Well, the number one factor is the turf grass variety. Golf courses, tees, fairways, and greens are traditionally a bent grass. It's a type of species, but the height of those areas also deals with budget. The bigger the budget, the more finicky you can get with it, and there's courses that are cutting it down past 1/8 of an inch on their greens, and right now we're cutting it at about 5/32. So, when you look at those two numbers, you don't really think of too much of a difference, but the speed of the green can be tremendously different on a 1/8 inch green, and I don't think a golfer at the town of Colonie could handle a green speed like that. So, we keep them at a height of cut that everyone can play. Like Craig said earlier, we have beginners and we have some probably scratch golfers out there, golfers with a single-digit handicap. But we need to cater to all of them. So, we try to keep things.
Is there a special mower dedicated just to mowing the greens?
Oh yes, there's we mow with triplex greens mowers. We ride mow. In the spring, when things are a little softer, we will hand mow, but they're a tighter circle of a reel, the bed knife, and gets us a little bit better quality of cut.
And when you talk about the greens, how long does it take for a ball mark in a green to smooth out if it is repaired properly?
If it's repaired properly, it's funny. I just read a study on this, and the proper way, you're really not seeing that on a tour event. And a lot of the tour pros just get in there and pull it up because they want it nice and flat, so they can putt. And like Noel said, you're putting for $1 million in the tournament. You don't really care whether you're putting over a little bit of soil or grass, but if it's repaired that way, you're looking at possibly a year for that ball mark to recover, because it's a plug of soil now. You could have weeds and moss and things like that go into that spot, but a properly repaired ball mark, probably about 2 weeks before it's totally repaired. But every golfer fixes theirs and 3 others, so we really don't have ball marks at the town of Colonie golf course.
And if improperly repaired, it could be up to a year.
It could be up to a year. And when I read that, I was amazed that it was that long. But we try to educate golfers on the proper technique. There's little placards that we have in the golf carts, and it's just a matter of them getting out there. But our maintenance crew, every morning while we're out there mowing and changing cups, we're out there fixing ball marks too. So we try to stay up on that too.
And how often do you move hole locations on each green?
Well, that's done daily in this type of weather. Obviously, if we have a very low amount of play because of rain, say the previous day, we may skip that if there wasn't enough play to really warrant us changing them. But the reason we're changing the cup is to give the golfer a different look if he plays the same 9 the following day, but more importantly is to spread the wear from one area of the green to another area. So I think today I was told that we were approaching 500 rounds of golf, and which is a lot of rounds for one day. And if we were to leave the cup in that same spot, the area around the whole location would start to thin out a little bit, and we'd show signs of wear. So.
Okay. I've noticed over on the practice green that there are no cups, and why is that?
Well, and that goes to the fact, like I just said, about the wear pattern. The practice green gets a lot of use. There's a lot of people that will come over to the town course on their lunch to chip and putt, and while they're waiting for tee times, if a walker comes up and they don't have a tee time but they're waiting to fit them in, they may be there for 15-20 minutes just putting at one location. So what I saw when I first came to the course 8 years ago was that the putting green was very thin as far as the density of the turf there. And about 4, maybe 5 years ago, we eliminated the cups, and we went to just targets, and the health of that green has turned 180 degrees around. But the cup issue is an issue that I'd also like Noel to maybe expand upon, because it's also a teaching. There's a teaching aspect of that too.
No.
Yeah, if you're putting at a target that is somewhat smaller or different than the normal cup that you're putting to, it actually makes you focus a lot better. And a lot of times people will actually put a small mark, like a dime, on the ground and putt to that. As a great way to train your mind to kind of focus on a smaller target. And if you can hit that dime, you certainly are going to be able to hit that hole onto the golf course when you're on the golf course. So it's that target out there, which will allow a golfer to focus a little bit better, is actually more productive than putting into a normal run-of-the-mill cup. And I can certainly say that coming back to the town of Colonie after being gone for 15 years, that green is in so much better shape now because the cups haven't been changed. It's much more similar to putting on the golf course than it ever was. So it's a much better practice.
Okay. And John, just going back again to the greens quickly, we've noticed there's been some clearing of trees around the greens during the wintertime, and why is that?
Well, I've heard that comment too, because obviously over the winter we're out there, we're removing dead trees, trees that can cause hazards to the golfer, but we did remove quite a few live trees this past winter, and we have been for the last several years, because we want a minimum of 8 hours of sunlight on those greens, and some of them were, if we were getting 4 hours, I would probably that would be a liberal estimate on that. So the more light we can get, the better they dry, the firmer we can get them, less disease, and just a better overall quality of the health of the turf there. So grass and trees are two different species, and if you have both together, the trees are going to win out, because grass needs that sun.
Okay, thank you. And Noel, just to go back to the clubhouse for a moment, or the pro shop, what are some of the merchandise items that you sell, and what's been more popular this year?
We try to cover pretty much everything that a golfer that comes to the golf course would need. Everything from tees, golf balls, gloves, shirts, shorts, shoes. It's your classic golf course golf shop. As far as popular, the most popular item that we've had this year that's just taking off are these hybrid golf clubs. They're designed to replace the long irons, which have traditionally been the hardest clubs for everybody to hit. And they're kind of they're called a hybrid because they replace an iron. They look a little bit like a small wood, and they've just been fantastic. I mean, everybody hits them a lot better than the long irons. So nowadays, irons, when I'm fitting people into an iron set, it's starting at, say, a 6 iron, really, or a 5 iron. I'm selling very few 3 and 4 irons now because of these hybrid clubs.
That's interesting. Well, that's good. And really, to close, what I'd like to do is ask Craig a couple of questions. If a golfer has a concern or an idea for the golf course, who should he or she contact?
Can contact Noel, myself, John, any one of us. We're always open for ideas, whether it's on course maintenance, pro shop, clubhouse, Little ideas. Probably every day we all have somebody that comes up and said, gee, why don't you do this, or can you do that? And we may have an answer for them right away, and I think all three of us have had these questions, and we've always said, let us look into that, we'll get back to you. And in most cases, we get back to the people, and they'll come in the next day maybe or something and say, you remember I asked you about? And we're always open to suggestions. We're trying to keep everybody, have a wonderful and happy experience of playing a golf course.
Okay, no, great. What's the best place to go to obtain information about the golf course?
Well, we have several. We have the new website's up, which is on the townofcolony.org, or actually it's www.colony.org, and then you go to Parks and Recreation Golf, and we have the website up there for it. Gives a lot of the information that we've gone over today. Noel has a tip of the month. John has a segment in there of similar questions or other questions about maintenance of the golf course. There's I think they call it a hyperlink or whatever to the chip shots, in case you're interested in their menu and so on and so forth. And of course, you can call the golf course at 374-4181, and we're all willing to answer any questions you have.
Great, no, great. Well, thank you very much. And if anyone has any questions or concerns or thoughts, feel free to call the golf course at any time. Speak with Craig, with Noel, with John. You can call the supervisor's office as well. Thank you for watching.